welcome to everybody. I hope that those who were allowed have had their coffee. Because I know that some delegation has been completely blocked in taking a coffee by the boss of the delegation. Okay, I would like really to... Eccolo. Apri. Ha fatto il giro, sta facendo il giro. No, non era per noi. Okay. So we start, and I thank everybody having been here on time. Unfortunately, Daniel Machado, our Brazilian host who had to be here, is blocked in his embassy because the ambassador has not yet arrived, the minister has gone, so he is defending their embassy in Piazza Navona. He's not allowed to get out of the room. So we have just Tiziana Masello with us. This is the first point. The second one is I would like to introduce my colleague Paolo Azzeni, who's the director of the engineering department of this university, which is the third university of Rome, and he will spend a few words in order to tell us how is it. For which concerns us, and me in particular, I have some information to provide to you. First of all, let me introduce to my left is Luciano Castro, who is the, I don't know if you say just only the inventor or the owner of this event. This event has been possible because of him. So we have been very happy when he proposed us to come and visit the event, because I consider that it's really worthwhile. And by the way, as this event is increasing year by year, is evolving year by year, and plenty of information that 3 years ago were not there are now here and so on, I would propose that we continue to have this event as a fixed rendezvous each year of the Science Diplomatic Club, our club. This is important. The second point is today we have a first touch among us, but please do not hesitate to contact directly myself or Luciano Castro if you need any kind of information. This particularly for those embassies which do have also an economic department, which is not represented today by chance, and or the military side, because we are not allowed to talk about that, but you know that drones can be used in different ways. They are used in different ways. So do not hesitate to contact us. Third and last point is we have been invited already by our U.S. Embassy delegation in October. We don't know yet the date, right? Okay. Unfortunately, as you know, I teach in Naples, and I'm really very upset because they offered us in Naples, my university, a fantastic event, which is the U.S. embassies in Europe are organizing a fantastic show concerning one critical environmental point, which is plastics in the Mediterranean. And probably some of you know that plastics in the Mediterranean is one of the 7 points which will be discussed by G7 in April. Is April or May? It's May, I think, in Taormina. So they offered us to have this show that they have already done in Denmark. Unfortunately, it was not possible in Naples. But finally, we found a very nice solution. The Genoa Aquarium has accepted to host this event in October. This will be probably located in front of the large swimming pool of dolphins. And so I think that we can really consider, if you like, to organize a visit over there. And I personally know, as I have seen the movie concerning this event, that it's really very, very interesting. So probably could be interesting for you too. Last but not least, I want to introduce also our major speaker today, my friend and colleague Massimiliano Lega. He is an expert in environmental problems. He is an expert asked very often by institutions in Italy concerning problems in which probably the use of drones is important, if not even strategic. He has just two mistakes. The first one, we are friends. And the second one, we have just finished two PhD theses in Naples using drones. And with my students, we worked together with Massimiliano making a first screen of the pollution in the Naples harbor. The results, let's say, we are a little bit higher than just a few epsilon higher than the level which is normally accepted. So this is one development line of our research. After that, I leave the floor to my friend.
Grazie professor Bussoletti, io approfitto di parlare in italiano poche parole, mi pare di capire che molti di voi, se non tutti, hanno dimestichezza con la mia lingua. Vi ringrazio di essere qui a RomaDrone, di aver voluto cogliere questa occasione per conoscere meglio la realtà della tecnologia e dei servizi legati ai droni in Italia. Mi auguro che sia per tutti voi e quindi anche per i paesi importanti che rappresentate un'opportunità per poter stabilire collaborazioni con le nostre realtà sia industriali che di ricerca in questo specifico settore. RomaDrone Campus, che si svolge per la prima edizione qui al Dipartimento di Ingegneria, ospite del direttore professor Azziani, che parlerà tra breve. È un evento di formazione, di business e di comunicazione legata ai droni per la drone community italiana. Siamo molto onorati e lieti che questa opportunità sia anche aperta al mercato internazionale grazie alla vostra così autorevole presenza. Ringrazio il professor Bussoletti per aver accettato sin dall'inizio questa proposta, ringrazio gli uffici dell'addetto scientifico dell'Ambasciata del Brasile per la collaborazione e il coordinamento, ringrazio l'amico professor Massimiliano Lega per quello che tra breve ci vorrà raccontare. Sono naturalmente a vostra disposizione e benvenuti. Grazie.
Good afternoon. It's really a pleasure to have all of you here. As Professor Bussoletti mentioned, you are now in one of the buildings of University RomaDrone, which means the third state university in Rome. Some people probably don't know much about the university, so a few words might be useful. This university was founded 25 years ago. In the process, the Italian government had to try to reduce the size of the big university in Rome, La Sapienza. Indeed, I was a faculty member, a professor at La Sapienza at the time, and most of us were given the option of becoming founders of this university. It was a significant challenge because nothing existed at the time, and the university grew really fast. Indeed, we now have about 900 faculty members and 35,000 students, which by Italian standards is a mid-sized university. By international standards is probably a big university, and we cover most of the fields. To describe the university in few words, what we usually say is that we have all departments except for those in medicine, and we have all other areas with students in the various areas. The university is really in the city, as you saw while coming here, and this is one of the pluses of this university. Indeed, this allows a lot of contact with the neighborhood. We really believe that collaboration and interaction with all interested subjects is really important for the university. Obviously, the university, the major goals of the university are teaching and research, but definitely we feel that this should not be just closed within the walls of the university. So the university is really open to the city, to the nation, to the world, and so it is always a pleasure for us to host events such as this one on drones, which was proposed to us. So I think you have more interesting things to hear than my greetings, so I think I should stop here and welcome you again here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now the floor to Massimiliano Lega, who has 30 minuti, 25 minuti.
The HBI is on the move.
Drones. These aerial robots are replacing manned planes. They're revolutionizing warfare by allowing us to see and kill from half a world away. And they're making science fiction a reality. Now, with unprecedented access to drone scientists, engineers, and pilots.
Master Arm.
Nova reveals the technologies that make drones so powerful and the breakthroughs that are leading us into the future. Will drones soon replace even the most sophisticated manned planes and become a part of our everyday lives?
It started out as a toy for my dogs to chase. The worry is that we'll have 30,000 drones crisscrossing the sky, accumulating all this information.
They generate opposition both overseas and at home.
I speak out on behalf of the rule of law.
Now, enter a new chapter in aviation history as Nova takes you inside the rise of the drone.
3, 2, 1.
Just a second, because I've forgotten an important thing. After the speech of Massimiliano, we will go to make a visit of all the expos, which is here in the large corridor. And after that, we will go outside. They will show us drones really operating, okay?
Well, after the video that I showed you, it's very, very difficult to say you hello, good afternoon, and start in the same way of this video, because this was a very professional video made by a famous TV channel and a Nova documentary. And so I prefer to come back for one step and try to start again this story. But this video gives you, in a few steps, in a few shots, the main key point of drones in the story and in the recent period. So my presentation starts as normal with the thanks. Thank you to the organization committee. Thanks to Luciano Castro for this big opportunity to share with you this moment. Thanks to the institution that hosted us. Thanks especially to my friends and colleague Ezio Bussoletti. But I want to reveal you a thing. I am terrified now. I don't know how to go forward, because I want to reveal a behind the scene of this presentation. Until a few days ago, my challenge was to concentrate a story of drones just in 25 minutes, said Ezio, 25 minutes. And this is not very easy, especially because I have a long story between aerospace and the environment, and could be that it's a crazy story. Now I think that I am not the right person to introduce you to the drone. Why? Because now I am a professor, a researcher at the University of Naples, Parthenope, and where I teach themes related to the environmental monitoring. And why today I introduce to you the drones from the environment. It's strange, but my know-how, my background is very strange, and follow a story that I think that from several points of view is very close to the story of drone. Really now we speak of drone, but the story of drone is very old. And also my career is not too old, but starting in a different field. I have a degree, a master's degree and PhD in aerospace field. Then after a very important experience for my life in the United States, working in the University of California in San Diego, I discovered that these drones, and that time was only, but after I come back again on this term, only unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV. The UAV in that time was used especially for the military field, but in that time a lot of people believed in the reuse of that technology in the civil field. So they asked me to reuse the same technology for civil purpose. And from that time, I changed completely my focus of research from the UAV drones as my target of research to the drones as the tool for my research. And the goal of the first project that I received in charge was to monitor the air quality over a long highway that links San Diego with Los Angeles. And this challenge was needed to perform using drones from the past used in military field. But with the drones, you have not the solution to the problem. The drones only is a part. If you think that the drones is the platform, the aerial platform in this case, but on board of drones you need to have sensor. But if you have a good sensor without know how to study the data that arrive from the sensor, it's impossible to manage the data that you grab. For this, I need to reinvent my background, changing from aerospace to the environment, studying all the regulation related to the environment in USA, and the problem of that area, the source of pollution. And from that time, I changed completely my point of view, and now I teach in environmental engineering using as technology to support my activity, also drones and other aerial platforms. But my story is strange because it changed again just a few years ago, because I discovered my strange background in the middle between aerospace and environment, several governing bodies that asked me to support them with this special technology also in the field of forensics. Now I cooperate with all the 5 police governing bodies here in Italy to support investigation and to fight the criminal of environment, and I cooperate also to develop new tools that was specified and specialized for this type of purpose. So I want just to show in very few minutes this story, following also the story of UAV. My story started a long time ago with my first speech on this theme when I was an aerospace engineer. And as you notice, at the time I speak of wind tunnel tests, analysis and structure, all terrible things for me today. But after I changed for the second problem of the use of drones, when you speak of drones, you use it in civil context. Is possible to use this type of technology without risk? No. And this big problem, this big tie, the use and regulation of the use of drones in the civil space was the big challenge for a lot of decades. For this, I developed a part of this formula that was used as an index for actual EASA regulation. And after this, I come back to the technology, developing the first UAV of my previous university, the Federico II in Naples, and I developed a real small plane that carry on board several sensors to perform this mission. I performed several real flight tests with this, one of the first in Italy approved by our governing body that gives permit to fly. And the last, my presentation at the time was this strange vehicle that could be that is similar to a whale, because it's not a very pretty vehicle for me, for example, but was a vehicle that was developed with in mind the mission needs, not with the challenge of to develop a real, very beautiful with high performance platform. So the mission needs required at that time to have 2 laptops inside this vehicle and several sensors that was not designed at the origin to use on board the vehicle. So I developed around this payload, that now we call payload, the vehicle that was able to carry on board this and to fly for a specific time of this vehicle. We obviously concluded the program with the real flight test, and now we are time constrained, 25 minutes. I have to change, and I want to come back to the concept of UAV. Drone. Drone is strange. If you try to type this term on Google or Wikipedia, you find several different definitions, all similar, but not equal. Mainly the only concept that share all these definitions are that it's an unmanned vehicle, not only aerial vehicle, that you can include all the type of vehicle. Surely now is more common used in the field of aerospace, but can also include ship, submarine, and the other. that is guided remotely. Pay attention to this point. And that only can navigate autonomously. We know the drones with several different terms. For example, one of the most historical terms was UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. After several decades, change in UAS, where S is the system that includes not only the platform that flies, but also the control ground station that is on the ground, and all the system, including the know-how, the people that drive, that pilot the vehicle and manage the sensor on board, is a complex system. So the flight of drones is not only a flight of a platform. It's a real mission performed from an integrated system that collects all this. After changing RPV, remote pilot vehicle, and then a remote pilot aircraft. Why? We come back to the unmanned generic aerial to specify remote pilot vehicle. Another key point that I want to reveal later. But today we use drone. And it's very strange because all the media, and I noticed that this morning also a very important person of the military field said, but why today you speak a lot of drones when in the military field we speak about unmanned system, calling them UAV or unmanned? Why? The media now prefers to use this term. The drone is a male of B. This is sure. The first term that you find on the Google is this. And we know that the two key points of the term drone in biological sense is that it plays a crucial role in the reproduction of the bee. It is also a good explorer, thanks to his flying skill. But it's also very famous for the drone buzzing. So a lot of people that try to explain why we use today the term drones try to to link the sound to the ability as an explorer, or the specific noise or sound of the actual engine that often are electric power engine that remember the drone buzzing. It is not true. You can read this everywhere, but it's not true. I tried to find the long story of drones, and we have to come back in the first part of our century, when really also in the military field the term used for the unmanned vehicle was drone. We have that a first remote pilot vehicle was a vehicle named after a specific label with letter and number, Queen Bee, and was used this vehicle from the Britain military, and was used not like a remote pilot vehicle to perform mission outside the field in the war, but was used like a target for the training. They retrofit a typical biplane of the time using a remote control on board. They prefer to have this remote controlled big plane like a moving target where to perform and to the training of the military people. But during a visit of a USA commander, this commander was very interested to this technology, and when he decided to come back in USA, he decided to use the same vehicle, named Queen Bee, in a different way, because the USA people want to differentiate and to be the leader often in the technology. So if the Britain have the Queen Bee, he have the male of Queen Bee, the king, not the queen. And so the male was a drone. So from that time, we are in the first part of the century, we have that the program to develop target unmanned in USA was drone. From that time, we have that the term drone was used everywhere in the military context to define a target and an aerial target. Sometimes also the specific vehicle was an aerial torpedo. And until the Vietnam War, we have that the term was only this. But after that time, changed the mission profile, of the drones, because it was not only a target for training or flying bomb, but was a real vehicle to perform mission, exploring mission. So the term changed in remotely pilot vehicle, unmanned aerial vehicle, unmanned system, and then come back only recently to the concept of remote pilot aircraft, because the problem is the regulation. Regulation not love a lot the concept of autonomous. So a lot of people prefer to say that behind the scene of the flight of drones exists a real man or woman that drive the system and take the risk of mission. It's not an automatic mission without a brain, a real brain or real hand of a person. I want to show you the vehicle of the time. You have the Queen Bee vehicle, the plane, and you can notice one of historic picture of the Queen Bee that fly with the remote control on the ground, moving the soldiers. It's very interesting, but this was only one of the first drone in the story that fly. This is not true that it was the first drone, because as in the other field, we have several trying to fly a drone. So we have in Italy, for example, that in the same period we developed this aerial torpedo that flies, but like a flying bomb. But we have also this other tentative where the drone doesn't fly, didn't shoot. You can notice, like in old movie, this drone was a biplane, a small biplane of 4 or 5 meters of wingspan that tried to run fast, but without the cost. The first tentative was stopped, but the second now revealed that the system collapsed. In Italy, the story of drones, of UAV, is very long, and from the time of aerial torpedo in 1916, we have a long tradition of companies that developed for military field UAV. So we have, for example, in the Middle Age, the Meteor with Mirac series, and actually we have the Leonardo with the Falco series. Are not the only, but surely are emblematic product of our company in the military field. But I love to say that, but this could be that it's only a joke, that if we produce the first drones only in the same period of the other country, we have the first unmanned system that is very old, surely before all the other countries in the world. Now I want to be the king in this. And I joke because I live in Naples, where we have a lot of this system transportation that is named the funicolare, that is like in the middle between a metro, the tube, and it's a cable car. It's like an elevator with 2 cabins that go up and down following 2 lines, but it's impossible that they collapse in 1 lane, because in the middle they have 2 lanes parallel that permit that one go up and the other one go down. And we developed the first system like this before the last century to go up the mouth of Vulcano in Naples, named Vesuvio. This system really was unmanned because it wasn't need the driver of this system. It was an automatic system that go up and down, but you can notice that we have a driver just in front that also today is present in the modern funicolare that we have also in several areas of the city, where we have several hills that are climbed using this type of transportation system. And why? We have an unmanned system for a long time that has on board a driver. It's strange. Only for one reason, not a technical reason. The same reason of a manned vehicle regulation problem. We need of a person that takes the risk of the use of this vehicle. Take the risk, even if the risk is only to push a button that say, yes, we can start, we can stop the system. If happens something wrong, I am the director of this mission. But also this story is long and we are time constrained. So I want to present to you the actual drones. We have 2 big family of drones. The drones that drive from the military context. So we have a very big plane, unmanned. We have any type of technology and platform. For example, we have rotorcraft, hybrid system, combined system, vertical takeoff, blimp, but we have also very, very small nano or micro drones like the small rotorcraft in the hand of the soldier. In the civil field, we have the same approach, different type, but with different also target mission. So we have fixed wing, blimp, rotorcraft, but actually the trend is multi-rotor. One of these, for example, the very famous Phantom that is now the symbol of drones, but are now increasing a lot also the fixed wing for several type of mission that we will present later. Also in this field, we have a step-by-step a goal that is the reduction of side drones. So we have a palm size, also a finger size drone. And the two representative drone that I love to introduce to you, just to have the real face of drones, is the Predator for the military field, that is very famous for the news and the problem of war. But we have also the other one in the civil context, that is the Phantom of DJI company. It is a recent company, but they were able to introduce and propose to the market something that the market needs, like a camera that flies, not expensive, and this permits this product to have a very, very large market. But as I said before, we have to define, before to speak of the platform, the mission. So any drone born with in mind the mission requirement. So if we have a mission requirement, we need to define not only the drone, the aerial platform, we need to define also the control ground station, the data link between aerial platform and control ground station. But mainly, a very important step is the payload, the sensor on board. Because really, we have the sensor on board that give you the opportunity to perform the mission. And only a good background to use that sensor and to manage the data grabbed from that sensor completes the rule of drones with the specific need of mission. So I want to introduce to you some of the main drone applications. Absolutely today I will not speak about drone privacy and work with drones. So I delete this word from this presentation, but I want to speak about the civil area of application. Surely one of the main applications today is the aerial imaging. We can find drones everywhere that take shot, video and filming everywhere, and all the people prefer to have a small drone in the pocket to use just in time when they need, like the camera phone. We have the second main field, that is aerial surveying or mapping. GIS and topography are one of the main target markets for drones. The third is inspection and monitoring, for example, wind turbines, power lines, pipelines. The fourth is precision agriculture. Could be that this fourth become in the next future the first one, but it's a very emerging field. 5, search and rescue and disaster management. We have in Italy, unfortunately, several examples of this good new area of developing. Security and surveillance, that is in the middle between military and civil. Unmanned cargo system. I invite you to think to the last advertising of Amazon or DHL that present drones that they are able to deliver you the Amazon Prime box, but it's not true. But could be that in the future. And the science research, where I live in the world, I want to show you the same civil area, but using image. In this you can see, for example, aerial imaging, just to have the look of the typical drone type and size used for this. This is a shotting of an advertising of a car. We have the second for aerial surveying and mapping, to create a three-dimensional reconstruction of a building, of an area, to map the three-dimensional morphology of its surface. But we can inspect power lines or wind turbines. We can move drone over a field, a green field, to discover, using, for example, multispectral sensor, the plants if are good or not, using a special index, or we can use drones to carry on board fertilizer or other chemical products. But also recently we developed new drones to support and help the search and rescue mission and the disaster manager. The right side picture was grabbed during the Amatrice event recently with the earthquake here in Italy. And we have a lot of pictures also from the past of a drone used for the border protection or from the police. But this is emergent, but a lot of ties are present to this use, even if it's very interesting for the opportunity, the potential of this technology. Just the last of the presented before activity was the unmanned cargo system with Amazon Prime DHL, and science research, the field where I live today, every day. And for this field, I want to introduce you just a case history. So, for example, when we speak about the air quality, we have often the problem that we measure the air quality only on the ground level. And this is strange, because if you want to know if your air around is polluted or not, you think that it's important only to monitor and grab and sample the air quality parameter around you on the ground. But the source of this pollution really is not on the ground close to you. Sometimes it's very far in the space and sometimes in time, and the path between the source and you that are the target is a very long path. So you need to reconstruct in an inverse way the path between the target to the source, discovering sometimes source that you not can imagine in the first moment. So, for example, we try to use small blimp to monitor the air quality around the canyon, or to use the small blimp to monitor the landfill that emit a lot of gases, or wastewater treatment, or using thermal camera the emission or leak emission of biogas. We try to use the several standard type of platform, searching the best platform that can match our requirements, and also the same situation is for the sensor, but sometimes we were not able to find the right platform. So we developed a new platform, and this is the story of a platform that's born starting from the mission requirement. This strange vehicle developed with the Italian Aerospace Research Center was an airship, a blimp that is heavier than the air, and was a hybrid between a blimp and multi-rotor that match our requirements. We arrived to the conclusion of this program with an incredible block of paper that explains any detail of this project, but without the prototype of this. But any researcher loves in his life to conclude the program. So, me with a small group of people decide to cross between the project to the first sample. And this was an outside that we have developed several years ago, and this flew. And this was an unmanned vehicle developed starting from the mission requirement that match all the needs that we need. At that time, we presented the use of satellite drone also in USA, just in front of the NASA, EPA, and the other important government authorities. And when I have showed this cover of my presentation, of my talk, a lot of people said, "Oh, wow, very beautiful, nice picture, but this is the future with this future or safety image that are very similar to space shuttle or spaceship with strange vehicle on the ground." But this is not true. This is not the close future. But this sentence, just after 1 year, revealed that several of the technology proposed in that talk was actually we developed all this one, and we flew a new drones and hexacopter that permit to fly inside the urban canyon and to acquire and monitor the air quality parameter. That was the same drone that Ezio presented before and was used for to monitor the air quality of the harbor in Naples. But we show the performance of the drones also in other countries. This is an example of flight of this drone just in the harbor of San Diego, and was another challenge for us to move a drone between Italy and USA and perform a real fly in USA with all the approval needed for this. But this happened in 2010 and was a very big challenge to obtain this 6 years ago. This is other picture from that time, and now we are time constrained again. Our activity was promoted from several media because it was very interesting, and I love to say that we propose also not only research but some time for the media fireworks that the people love, drones, advanced technology. So we was discovered by police because a lot of government body need of this technology to fight illegal activity. We support, as said, the starting moment of my presentation, several police action, and this is, for example, a footage of the first Italian TV, public TV, that opened in the first evening with this news.
19:56 minuti di venerdì 14 ottobre 2011, la prima pagina del TG1. Buonasera. Le immagini esclusive dell'ultima arma contro il traffico dei rifiuti tossici, un drone dotato di una termocamera in grado di individuare rifiuti nocivi sotterranei. Tra i servizi di TV7 in onda questa sera alle 23:30 le immagini in esclusiva di un'invenzione tutta italiana usata nella lotta al traffico dei rifiuti tossici, l'inviato Alessandro Gaeta. A vederlo così sembra un giocattolo.
In realtà è uno strumento complesso che nasce proprio per assolvere a quelle esigenze che si hanno nel corso di una missione di rilevamento ambientale.
Ecco l'ultima arma nella lotta al traffico di rifiuti tossici. È un'invenzione tutta italiana, un drone, un velivolo senza pilota che qui vediamo in azione sui...
I stop this video here because I want to reveal also the second footage that in the same period repeats the same news but in USA.
Italy is also watching what's happening in Greece with concern, but the country has other worries as well. One of them is illegal garbage dumping by the mafia. Authorities are now testing a small, remotely piloted aircraft as a tool to fight environmental crimes in the Naples area. Reporter Angelica Marin recently caught up with the scientist who designed the drone.
Riding through marshes at dawn, environmental engineer Massimiliano Lega is careful not to disturb the ground.
Se proviamo a risalire lungo questa collinetta.
Fumes escape from cracks in the earth. There's a choking stench of gas, bleach, and burnt tires. This is the Naples countryside. 2 truckloads of poisonous junk are buried here, just below Lega's sneakers. He says the Camorra Mafia is to blame.
Questi rifiuti sono interrati in questa zona.
The buried trash creates a chemical reaction over time that produces toxins.
Lega points his thermal camera at any smoking groove as guard dogs bark from a distance. Lega is testing his latest creation. It's called Stillfly, a 3-wing, 5-pound drone that flies just feet above the ground. The drone's heat-sensing camera and gas sensors transmit data to a monitoring station, where Lega studies the images.
Tutti I sensori sono pensati per essere un piccolo laboratorio mobile.
All the sensors were designed to work like a small portable lab. It's like what forensic police would use to process the scene of a crime, like a murder, but readapted for an environmental crime.
Stillfly is now being tested to zero in on riverbeds, farmlands, and even industrial. It's called Stillfly.
If you want to hear all the video with the full version, you can go on the YouTube and type my name, and I have collected all the video used in this presentation. At that time was incredible how big was the interest of all the media to the use of drones for forensic activity. And we have also a very particular story of the famous magazine named Wired that gave me the cover, and was incredible because this story was a story that started and published in the Italian version of Wired, that usually is a magazine that only translates the article from the USA country or United Kingdom. But in this case was the first time the story of this magazine that the article was written before in Italian, before in Italy version, and then was translated in USA. You can find the cover of Wired where it explained all the use of this drone. today I direct an infrastructure, a virtual infrastructure, because a part of this infrastructure is really in my university that is dedicated to the forensic activity. I have several drones, I have a mobile lab, I have a very fixed lab with a lot of instrumentation, but I cooperate with all the police forces, and as you notice, we link different satellite aerial platform and drone together in one process. I love to call this process hierarchic model because like when you move the zoom of your camera forward and backward, you obtain that you change the point of view, enlarging the field of view or increasing the opportunity to have a small detail of the scenario that we are examining. In the same way, when you grab a picture from the satellite, you can have an overview of a situation. But if you need to detect the face of a person, you need to zoom in, and sometimes the satellite view is not enough. For this reason, you need to move down using other type of platform that fly lower than the satellite, and moving until the ground level with drones. We speak about the technology that are very close to the ground, proximal sensing device. Obviously, this is the platform, but we have a lot of electro-optical devices that are carried on board our drones that are different things to the mission. And we have electro-optical, but we have also physical device to grab and acquire and manage problems like air quality or water quality. And the result of this activity produced several papers related to the thermal pattern and thermal tracking when we use the thermal camera, or we define the procedure, or we reveal the exact procedure cooperating with the standard approach of this police force. And finally, we arrive to define a memorandum of understanding with the three ministries here in Italy: Internal Affairs, Justice, and Environment, that permit us to reproduce this model in a large scale, to permit to all government bodies to use this approach using drones, planes, aircraft, and managing and collecting all the data and cooperating together. Here's some shot of the three main procedures that we have developed. For example, this is with the Coast Guard, this one is with the Financial Police, and this one is with the State Forestry Corps that now is a part of Carabinieri. These are all real image, all real picture that we acquired in a real field. A lot of people say that now it's very difficult to fly, but we are flying from about 10 years about this, and we are time constrained. Now I have to conclude my presentation, but I cannot conclude my presentation without to speak a few words about the regulation. I said in the start of this presentation that we need to call the drone remote pilot aircraft. And this depends from the problem with the regulation to admit and to permit that fly something that is autonomous. For this, the changing of term reflects the changing of the problem to the management of this platform. And today, solving step by step but slowly the problem on what is the risk, how much is the risk, we have that regulation are growing everywhere. This is a one shot of regulation in the world. You can find this shot on several agencies and insurance companies that reveal the situation country by country. And we are lucky because in Italy we started this process a long time ago, and we have now a regulation. Our regulation, I think that is interesting for you, but I want to avoid spending many words, just a few key points. We have mainly two big family of drones that we can fly. The first is the drones with a takeoff mass less than 25 kilograms, and the drones with takeoff mass equal or more than 25 kilograms and less than 150 kilograms. In these two families, we have also some subcategory, especially for the small category, when we have a drone that have a takeoff mass less than 2 kilograms. We have that the operation are more easy. And if you have a drone with a takeoff mass of about 0.3 kilogram, you can fly without permission. The drone's takeoff mass is one of the key points. The other point is why we need to fly drones. And so we have two family of operation, specialized and research and development activity. Usually for the business are the specialized operation. When we define an operation that is not for recreational purpose, but is for a work, a job, we need to decide where we need to operate. And this defines the second problem. The second problem is the place, the area where I fly, critical or not critical? Usually the critical term is used for place close to people, to urban area. So a lot of time the only permitted that we can have is for not critical, in greenfield, very far from the city. And so this defines also a big tie for the real use in all the operational scenario that I proposed before. Because how is interesting for us to take a shot of something that is in the desert? How is interesting to monitor something that is in a place without people, without house? So the regulation going the opposite side sometimes with our needs. Just three numbers to conclude this regulation spot is that the altitude max that we can fly, that depends from the type, is maximum 150 meters. The radius from the pilot is about 500 meters, and we have that a big constraint that when we fly, we have to maintain a distance between us or the space area and the urban of about 150 meters and almost 50 meters from any other people around the pilot. Numbers in Italy of the market for the drone. We have actually, this is the statistic number that we can find everywhere. We have about 2,500 companies that are involved in the market of drones. And a large part of this, about 2,000, are involved for non-critical operation. And only in 2015, we sold about 100,000 drones. It is an incredible market that is increasing for a small country like us. I want to conclude presenting just into slide the company that you can find here in this event. I cannot read every description, but I leave you to read because all these are sponsor or partner of this event and propose in a different way a real market of drones, and you can visit the desk in the first floor. This is the first of the slide. This is the second one. And the last slide for you is we want you. Why? Because we are searching program partner. Surely research institute, university and company for me are the best, but obviously also beta tester, government body company, or better for the company, business partner. I think that this is a great opportunity to link these two words, the word of each country outside Italy with the reality that we have here. This already happened in the past also in other countries. This is an example with the USA, where I go every year for about 1 month and spend there 1 month in a tentative of to link, and I also cooperated with the Fulbright program, and I hosted every year a professor or a researcher for 1 month to define and increase this link with this country. But I love to increase also this link with other countries. So if you want to go deeper in what I proposed this morning, you can go on my personal channel where I collected all the video used for this presentation. And if you want to contact me, this is the email and the place where I work. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Points. Is there any question for the moment on the concept? Everything is clear, or you are short of sugar and you need to go up? No. Okay. Just one point. Yes, please. Louder.
thank you for the question. It's a very important question. At that time, we developed the project in two steps. The first one is to verify this approach, this technological approach of the combining the using of two different approaches to the fly with an heavier than air blimp and this different propeller vector thrust system. And in that time, the project started only to validate the technology. But when we defined the size of this platform, we have in mind the mission. And the prototype that we developed was too small to perform the mission that you said just a minute ago. But now we are starting again with the same project, or with the guideline of the project, together with the Italian Aerospace Research Center. And now, during these days, is under approval a new big project that will develop a large platform that is able to perform the mission that you say.
Just further information, when he mentioned, what he has mentioned is Chira, where we have been this year, if you remember, which is nearby Naples, where you can, he is working also in collaboration, and where you can go. One more information is that if in your country you have not reached a complete fulfillment of regulation for which concerns the use and the flying of drones, Italy, unfortunately I should say, is more advanced, just because bureaucracy is something that we love very much. So we are always the first in this sense. So do not hesitate if you want to contact Massimiliano or some of us, and we can provide you all the information of the evolution of regulations on this specific field. Last information for us, essentially, the friends who have not been able to come is just because we have forgotten there is a strike of taxis. So those who didn't have their own car or the car of the embassy and the problems, for example, the Swiss and some other people, so this is the reason why they didn't attend. So for them it will be next year. If there is no other question, I suggest that we drink or eat something and then we go to make the visit along the corridor.